Yo, good day, gents, and welcome to another episode of Father's Fire. My name's Jody Sedrick, and every week we get together to explore the joys, the challenges, the triumphs, the sorrows, and yes, the fun of being a dad. And I'm telling you guys, you can't miss those opportunities to connect with your kids. Sorry, I missed you guys last week. I have been, usually I record these on Sunday or I get enough of them in the pipeline, but I haven't been able to do that lately, in part because a couple weeks ago, I'm talking to my son, and he has really gotten into fishing, and so, um, and I've been watching him and his boys go spend a Saturday together, and one afternoon, Sunday, Judy's like, "Man, why don't you go fishing with them?" I'm like, that's a pretty good idea. So, with the gentle prompting of my wife and encouragement, I reached out. I went downstairs and went into my boy's room, knocked on the door, and said, "Hey, man, would you like to go fishing?" He goes, "Yeah, that'd be great." So he and I we loaded up his gear because I don't have any, but he's got a whole bunch of gear that he's invested in, and we went to Walmart and got a fishing license. And I'm telling you guys, that was one of the best days that I've had with my son. We didn't catch anything, but a great conversation. We started out at one place and it wasn't going too well. He goes, "Oh, let's go try another place." So we went to this other place and sat, and we just were tossing the fishing line, and he was giving me little tips, but more importantly, we were just visiting, enjoying the day. And that's how come I missed an episode with you guys, because I was spending time with my boy. And I think a lot of times we as dads get so busy, we get so caught up in the to-do list that we miss the to-do that is most important, and that is spending time with your kids and your significant other, your lovely wife. And then yesterday he came in and right after Judy and I had brunch, and just sat down at the table, and next thing I know, he and I are engrossed in a very deep, long conversation that literally lasted all day. We At one point we moved it outside, then the other time it started getting a little warm, so we came inside. It was a beautiful day. And he came to me, he's like, "Yeah, Dad, I've really been thinking about starting my own business. These are some concerns I have in starting my partnership with this guy that he's considering going into partnerships with." And he goes, I really want to create my own business. And the reason, one, is because I want to be my own boss, but two, I am looking forward to becoming a father. And man, that just hit me. He's like, "I'm looking forward to being a father, and I want to put myself in a position where I can go to their basketball games, or I can go to their track events, or I can go to their band events. I want to be able to have the freedom to be my kids' best friend, their biggest fan, and their father." And I really, man, it hit me in the feels. So I'm like, here I have my youngest son, and his goal, while he is very entrepreneurial driven, the reason why he's entrepreneurial driven is because he wants to be a father. And it was a great discussion. And he said, "I want to teach my kids that family is first. Like you and mom have shown me that family is first. And I want to bring that same kind of love and attention to my kids so that they feel loved." And as we were talking, he said, "Sometimes I get so frustrated with my best friends. In fact," he goes, "I told them," he goes, "I said, you guys are crappy boyfriends." I go, "You told them that?" He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "They don't do nothing. He goes, they've been dating their girls for like 3 and 4 years. They never take him out on a date. Unless they ask him. And he goes, in fact, one of my friends, he goes, I don't think they've gone on a date in the last 2 years. He goes, well, let me take that back. They haven't gotten on a date in the last 2 years unless she insists that he take her out. And he's like, that just is crazy. He goes, why do you have to be a crappy boyfriend? And he goes, I even told the girls, he goes, if they're crappy boyfriends, they're going to be crappy husbands. And I'm like, wow, this guy's speaking gold. if they're going to be crappy boyfriends, they're going to be crappy husbands. So girls, he's like, why don't you know your worth? And that really hit me when he told his best friend's girlfriends, it's like, why don't you understand your worth? Why don't you know your worth? And that really hit me that, here is a young man that he's recognized that we as men, we as husbands, we as fathers, we need to care for and pursue and love and invest and lean into our wives, not only when we start dating them, but even after the fact. Because if you're a crappy boyfriend, you're going to be a crappy husband. So at some point, you have to invest in that relationship. In fact, he goes, I don't even get it. He goes, sometimes I make suggestions for them. I'm like, just go take a drive for your girlfriend with your girlfriend. It's like, well, that costs gas money. And he goes, well, take them, get them a sandwich and take them to a park. Well, that costs money for a sandwich. And he's like, you can't spend $5 to invest in your girlfriend? He goes, here, I'll give you $50. You don't have to tell them it came from me. I'll give you $50 to go take your girl on a date. And they don't take me up on it. And I'm just sitting there taking it all in. And here's a young man, my son, that's going, you have to. He sees the need and the importance and the value of making time for your girl and making her feel not only that she's loved, but that you're interested in her, that you're willing to do things with her, to make time for her. And he's like, $5 is cheap to keep your relationship going. $5 in 30 minutes, $5 in 60 minutes. Dude, make the time. And he said, and as you do that, he's like, yeah, you're going to make mistakes, but they're going to appreciate that you're continually striving to make your relationship better by saying you're sorry and recognizing those areas where you need to change. Because sometimes, he goes, we need to change. And from his perspective, he's like, if you're open and honest and you're willing to say you're sorry, they're going to appreciate that. And in the end, he said, it really comes down to just showing a little bit of effort. Showing a little bit of effort. And as I've reflected on that conversation, I wonder how many of us men are listening to the wisdom coming out of the mouth of babes. Because here's my son, and I hope, and he commented on this. He said, I see how you and mom treat each other. I see how you and mom make time. He goes, in fact, it's funny. He goes, you guys always make time for a date. And he goes, sometimes I even see you guys just going downstairs and watching Netflix together. You're still making that time because mom doesn't necessarily want to go out that time. She's just tired from the day and just wants to veg and be at home. And he goes, you still make time for each other to do that. And I mean, you always invite us kids, but most often it ends up being you two just sitting there side by side, arm in arm, watching some silly little show. And so as I've reflected on that, men, is, are you as a father, are you as a husband, are you as a significant other or partner, are you making time for the ones that you love? Like my son said, $5 is cheap to keep a relationship going. And it's not the $5, it's the time spent with that person. And so there's so many things that you can do, but somewhere along the line, we in our relationships have lost the pursuit of our significant other. We've lost the desire to win her heart. We've lost the passion to go, you know what? I have to make sure that she feels loved and appreciated. In fact, I had a really good conversation with the gentleman a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about how, you know, life just happens and you get so busy taking care of kids and working and trying to build your business and trying to, do your side passions, that are trying to provide for the family. He goes, I get so busy doing that I don't make time for my wife. There's no time left for her. And I said, oh, really? There's no time? He goes, yeah, man, there's just no time. Life sucks it all up. I go, let me ask you a question. I go, right now you have, you and your beautiful wife and a young daughter, and they're very time consuming. He goes, oh, absolutely, man. They can suck the time. He goes, we don't have any time for each other. I go, let me ask you a question. Back in the day when you were dating your girl, you were working full time, you were going to school, you were doing everything to get your career launched. And at the same time, you were doing everything to win her love. And if she would have called you on a Tuesday night, not a Friday, on a Tuesday night, and you'd worked all day and you were tired, and she said, you know what, I got 30 minutes, I got an hour to spend with you, would you come over and see me? What would you have done? And he goes, oh, Jody, I see where you're going. I go, no, what would you have done? He goes, I would have got up and went and seen her. I go, what's the difference? Life was happening then. Life is happening now. The difference is, back then, you were trying to prove that you were the one. You were trying to prove that you were the one for her heart, that you were the man of her dreams. And now, because you've already won her, you've stopped proving that you're still the man of her dreams. And I think that is an important lesson, because as we as men continue to invest in our relationships, giving that time, and it doesn't take that much time. It doesn't take that much time. In fact, when Judy and I talked to this with my son, I said, look, when you guys first came to our home, the first 2 years, Judy and I couldn't leave our home because there was so much trauma that you guys had experienced that we did not feel that, that there was a safe situation yet where you guys felt comfortable and secure and that all of the kids were safe, right? And so me and mom continually always invested the time in being home. And in order to escape for each other is after you guys went to bed and we were sure you were asleep, that was when we would go take a long walk and we would talk about our frustration. We would talk about our success. We would talk about our anguish of our heart. That we would talk about the questions of our heart. Did we make the right decisions? What are we doing? What are we missing? And we would cry and we would laugh and we would celebrate. But we made the time to go on those walks. And then we would come back and we would make cookies or make milkshakes. And we would go into the privacy of our bedroom and just spend time together because we couldn't at that time escape from the house because we knew that the foundation wasn't in place strong enough for you and your sister because of the trauma that you'd experienced. So guys, sometimes you have to get creative. Sometimes you may not, it may not be obvious on how you can make that time, but you have to make the time, not only for yourself, but also for your relationship as a couple. You have to have that time to commiserate, to celebrate, to work through problems, to question, to go, what do we need to do? What do we need to become? How do we help our children go from this point to this point? And I think a lot of times we miss the point where love requires us to let others in. And that can be a challenge, especially like for you parents that are in divorce situation, your foster kids, your adopting kids. You have created a family in which there are children that have had broken hearts. They're not sure if they can trust. They're hoping they can trust, but they're guarding their heart and they're going, how am I going to trust this person? And so you as the father, you as the parent have to lean into your kids when they may not necessarily want you to lean into them, but they need you to lean into them. They may push you away. They may bristle at your affection, but that's exactly what they're hoping for. And while they may be pushing you away, they're testing to see if you're going to keep leaning into them. So do you have the fortitude and the discipline and the love and the dedication to lean into your kids? And it can be tough when they go through those teenage years and, those painful years where they're trying to figure out themselves. They're trying to figure out their place among their peers. They're trying to figure out their place in your family. And if we don't have the fortitude to lean in and pursue them with pure intent, with pure love. And I tell my kids all the time, I was like, I am not the perfect dad, but I am striving to love you perfectly. And I don't have all of the answers. Sometimes you guys know I mess up. And what do I always do? I always come and I talk to you and I apologize and I say, look, I was not my best at that moment, but I will become better because I love you and I want to become the father you need me to be. And I want to become the man that God intended me to be. So I'm going to lean into you. I'm going to lean into us. And as you lean into them and they see you consistently leaning into them, they will let you in. And I told my daughter yesterday, because she came into the late into the conversation. I said, look, I will always run to you. And sometimes, as you know, in the past, you've pushed me away, but I've always stayed close enough that I can, within a step, be within arm's reach for both me and for you. Because I never know when you're ready and when you need to turn around and come to me in open arms. So men, lean into your kids, lean into your wife, lean into those relationships, because as you lean in, they will open their hearts to you. I want to thank you guys so much for joining me. Happy Monday. I hope you have a fantastic day, and we will check you same time, same bat channel, just next week, right here on Father's Fire. See ya.